All right, so with that, I don't have any more updates. I think we are ready to hear from Stephanie. I'm here for that reason. I'm pretty excited to hear about ArcGIS Field Maps. Stephanie, please go ahead and introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I will just turn on my camera here real quick. Working from home still, so my bandwidth is not great. But hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Baker. I'm a solution engineer with Esri. I'm located in Sacramento, and I support County of Solano and also a lot of the cities within Solano County. I mainly just work with local governments in Northern California and the Bay Area. So a few of you have had the pleasure of meeting. A lot of you I haven't met yet. So nice to meet you here in this format. I've been asked to come today to talk to you a little bit about ArcGIS Field Maps. So I'm going to have mostly an abbreviated version of a PowerPoint presentation. And I also have a quick demo for you that I'll be doing on my phone. So hopefully that will work out. So give me just a moment here. I'm going to turn off my video and then I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I'll ask for feedback to make sure y'all can see it. So give me just one moment. Okay, I am going to share this screen. Is everybody seeing a blue screen that says ArcGIS Field Maps and the date?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, thank you for that feedback. All right, so probably many of you are familiar with some of our more foundational field apps like Collector. We've been getting a lot of customer feedback over the years as folks have been adopting our field apps in their organizations, and we've been adding more capabilities. And a lot of folks have been saying that they have to deploy multiple apps to complete a workflow, and it was pretty cumbersome. You know, it often requires downloading each app from the App Store, signing into each app, linking them together, in some instances having to download copies of data to their device multiple times. And so we've decided to bring you 5 key capabilities in one app, ArcGIS Field Maps. In Field Maps, you have the ability to view maps, markup maps, collect data, perform asset inspection, and also utilize location tracking. We're bringing together these foundational apps to provide a single app solution for exploring maps, high accuracy data collection, location tracking, work management, and navigation. So you could see we're bringing together Explorer, Collector, and Tracker in this initial release, and then later on, these items in gray, Workforce and Navigator, we're going to be incorporating those into field maps at a later release. So 5 key benefits of field maps I'd like to point out. It's only one app to deploy and one app to learn. You only have to sign in to ArcGIS once instead of having to sign in multiple apps to complete your workflow. We're eliminating the need to duplicate offline content on your device for each application. So overall, you're going to have a smaller aggregate app footprint and download footprint. And you're also going to have consistency across apps as far as capabilities and development on the Esri side. I'll just do a quick note about user types and licensing for field maps. The simplest way to put it is if you're using Collector now, you don't have to change your licensing at all to use field maps. It's exactly the same. So if you are, say, a field worker or a creator or a GIS professional named user, you can pretty much do everything as far as performing inspections, creating and updating your asset inventory, and so on. Even if you just have a viewer named user, you can still do stuff like you did in Explorer, just viewing a map for situational awareness, using markups, using offline maps. And then, of course, the tracker license is now included with the field worker user type. but it can still be added on to other user types like Creator or ArcGIS or GIS Professional to use those tracking capabilities in field apps. And if you have like a more legacy ArcGIS Collector app license, you can use that in field maps as well. So there are actually two pieces to field maps. There's the mobile application, which you can download for free on your device right now and take a look at it. And then there's also the back office web application that you administer through your enterprise site or ArcGIS online site. And I'll go into each of these individually. Starting with the mobile application. Key capabilities that you're getting with the mobile app are map viewing, map markup, high accuracy data collection capabilities, just like you had in Collector, robust smart form editing for inspections. So I'll go into smart forms a bit later in the presentation. And then also the ability to view, record, and share location tracks, which we're incorporating from the Tracker application. So Field Maps is built on the latest ArcGIS Runtime SDK, and it includes all of the advanced map viewing capabilities our native tools support, including advanced symbology with rendering and labeling using Arcade, which is the ArcGIS expression language, a newer capability to create group layers using the ArcGIS map viewer, which is now out of beta, so it's just map viewer. Pop-ups with attribute expressions, including support for feature sets. And then this list of map tools that you are probably familiar with from using Collector, like GPS, all the map capabilities you're used to, like the ability to switch base maps, use bookmarks, toggle legends and layers, the measure tool, search tool, syncing map changes, getting directions either through integration with the Navigator app or with other native apps on your phone like Google Maps and Apple Maps you can integrate. So the markup capabilities, you're probably already a little bit familiar with these. They're coming into field maps and they're available for use with any map. Markup is comprised of markers, lines, arrows, and areas, and you can store markup in layers and turn the layers on and off. Rectangles and circles that you draw on the map can be recognized and turned into objects that you can pick up and move. The markup layer, it's pretty handy. It's stored on your device and it's available across all your maps, and you can also share it. If you have iOS devices, you can share your markup layer using AirDrop. And if you don't want to do that, you can also share it by email or text message, or if you have publishing privileges, you can share it to your ArcGIS organization. So high accuracy data collection, like I mentioned, is available in field maps, just like it was in Collector. So sometimes, your native location information that's available via your device is fine, but sometimes you do need better GPS accuracy than what's in your smartphone or tablet. And Field Maps lets you capture features using GPS receivers so that you can quickly and easily improve the accuracy of the authoritative content you manage in your system of record. And we work closely with a number of different GNSS vendors. Some of them are listed here. But a list of all of them is available online. If you have any questions about whether your device is compatible or not, that information is available. In addition to collection using the map, Field Maps has all of the high accuracy data collection capabilities from Collector. It supports capture of all geometry types. And when you have GPS enabled, you can also capture a Z value, and that includes orthometric height capture as well. You can use the streaming method to capture data while you're in motion, like if you're walking or driving and you want to record that, or when you need to capture a single location, you can improve precision using GPS averaging. And this graphic is just showing all of the different ways that you can understand GPS accuracy using field maps. There's a GPS bar, you can view GPS metadata and details, you can set a required accuracy for the person doing the collecting, and so on. So moving on, just about inspection workflows with field maps. We're bringing new capabilities to your inspection workflows now. When you invest in the system of record, we're going to provide you the transaction model support you need to effectively manage change. So we know that understanding the history of previous inspections is important when you're connected or in a disconnected environment. And we're supporting the use of relationships to enforce the asset to inspection model so that this is possible. So very common to have, a feature layer with a related table, and Field Maps allows you to collect your asset inspection information in that related table. So Field Maps is integrating the battery savings location tracking capabilities of Tracker. It supports the same licensing model that ArcGIS Tracker had, but instead of deploying it in a separate app, you can deploy Tracker within Field Maps. It's all part of the same app now. To simplify turning on or off tracking, you're going to see a little map card appear in the Browse Map screen that you can directly turn on and off, and I'll show you this in the demo. You'll also be able to open other maps in the app, and with tracking capabilities available now, you'll be able to turn on and off the tracking layer. What else do I want to say about this? We do have some special support on Apple Watch for Tracker. So if you have field crews that have Apple Watches, there is an improved interface for them. And yes, we'll show you a little bit more in the demo. If you have any data that is compliant with the ArcGIS Indoors Information Model, Field Maps does allow for viewing facilities and levels that are in compliance with that information model, and that unlocks new floor awareness capabilities. So viewing a map where features from one or more of these layers are visible, you'll get a floor picker tool that will appear on the map just below the GPS tool, and the floor picker tool will display floor information based upon the centermost facility in view. And as the map display changes, the picker will update the list of floors that are available in the facility or disappear if there's no facilities present. And when you tap on the floor picker, it will expand to display a list of available floors to choose from. Field maps can be remotely controlled using universal app links. And again, if you've been using some of our other field apps, this probably isn't a new concept to you. App links can be generated by hand or by using an arcade expression, and they can be deployed through an email or a message or from another application. So all of the app linking capabilities that you're used to in Explorer and Collector are now included within Field Maps as well, as new properties for working anonymously. And there's a lot you can do with this app links capability. You can send someone an app link to open a map or map package, have them open that map at a certain location or scale. You can search a map using coordinates, locations, and feature attributes. And it's just really useful app linking for linking between multiple applications. Like if you're in Field Maps, but you want to open up something in Navigator to get there, it makes it really a much smoother workflow. And as I alluded to before, there are some iOS-specific features that we are integrating in Field Maps. So if you have an iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, you may see a few of these features that are not available on other devices. For instance, you can sign in with your Apple ID. There's dark mode support, split view on iPad is really useful if you want to have two instances of the app, or you want to have Navigator open next to Field Maps, you can do that. Scribble support, Apple Watch support for location tracking, and also quick actions. Okay, now I'm going to move on. We were just talking exclusively about the mobile application. Now I'm going to talk to you about the Field Maps web application. So it's a web app that was designed for the GIS analyst that needs to prepare and deploy maps to the field. It's available in ArcGIS Online or Enterprise version 10.8.1 or above. I believe if you have 10.6.1 or above, there is a patch that you can install in order to use Field Maps. All browsers are supported minus Internet Explorer. So you should be able to use it pretty much anything. I prefer Google Chrome. That works well for me. And this is where you're going to configure all of the map properties, the content. You're going to manage the offline experience and share and deploy those maps for folks working out in the field. So we've added a new map settings experience to Field Maps. As the map author, you can now choose for each map what map tools and feature actions are present in the user experience. So for example, if you don't want the mobile worker to be able to copy a feature or edit multiple attributes of a feature at once, then you can remove these capabilities from the app for that specific map. So that's pretty new to have these map-specific configurations available of the app. It can also be useful to define default collection settings for a map. So you can have the map author set up defaults, or you can provide consistency for data collection projects. And then, of course, if conditions arise in the field, the mobile worker does have the ability to override the collection defaults. It's pretty easy. This is like an example of a situation would be perhaps as the map author, you have set required location accuracy. And perhaps if that can't be achieved in the field, but the field worker still needs to collect at that site, they can alter the GPS settings to be able to collect. A little bit about feature templates. Field Maps, with the Field Maps web app, you can configure and manage the types of features that can be created in the Field Maps mobile app. So it's sort of like creating a data dictionary when you're creating new types of features. In the web app, you can order the list of feature templates so that the most used are on top of your list and easily accessible for the person creating new features. So say you have like a damage assessment application and you have a lot of different field types, but you think that the field worker is just really going to be mainly using 2 different types, you can move those up to the top of the template to make it easier for them to find instead of scrolling through a really long list. You can change the name of the template so it's easier for the mobile worker to understand. You can apply default attribute values for each template, so that minimizes the amount of information needed to be filled out in the form, and then delete existing templates you don't need or duplicate and configure existing templates. So smart forms. With the apps that you use today, typically a pop-up defines the editing behavior of the application. But we're adding this new kind of feature form capability to the web map, and it will override the capabilities of the pop-up to include logic that is designed to improve your collection and editing workflows. So some of these new smart form capabilities, you can put things in groups, put different layers in groups so that some layers have a lot of attributes and that can make filling out a form challenging. So now you can organize attributes into groups, provide a group name and description, and allow the user to collapse and expand them. So if they're filling out a pretty long inspection form, it just makes the visibility a little better and makes the form a bit less confusing. You also have the power to use conditional visibility. So some attributes are dependent on others, right? Or a condition that is met. So you'll be able to apply visibility and requiredness of filling out an attribute value using arcade expressions. And then similarly, in a similar vein, required fields are something that we've enabled you to do now. We can add logic to the form definition that lets you determine when and why a field is required. Just a little bit about formatting fields. We have descriptive text properties, read-only fields. So for example, if you want the person filling out the form to know the date, but you don't need them to be able to change the date, you can make that a read-only field. So you're still recording that data, and also required fields, like I mentioned. Different input types for your smart forms, defining constraints and methods for entry. You could do a text box or text area. You could do date, and now we also support date and time. Radio buttons, barcode scanners. You'll see at the bottom here a little bit of a different user interface when it comes to iOS users. And then again, just to emphasize, using groups to organize fields. You can order and group fields the way that information needs to be filled out, provide a meaningful name and description so that you know what you're getting. A really common one is to have like the inspector or field worker information in the top group. And then once they're all done filling that out, they can hide it and move on to the collection at hand. So about offline capabilities, with the Field Maps web app really has improved, I think, the workflow for configuring your maps for offline use. Before we had field maps, there was a lot you had to do to traverse multiple locations of your home app to configure these capabilities. There was a lot of troubleshooting as far as like, okay, I've made this offline area. Now I'm going to download it onto my device. I'm going to go test it out and make sure it works. Oh, it doesn't work and I don't know why. I got to go back to the map and figure it out. Now it's a lot simpler. You can see in the graphic in the top right corner, now within Field Maps, as you're configuring your map for offline use, if there's an issue that's going to prevent you from doing that, it'll tell you right away. There'll be a red indicator and an X, and it'll tell you exactly what the issue is. And from within Field Maps, you can configure that issue to be resolved. So if you have, say, a layer where sync is not enabled, you can literally just click the ellipses next to it in Field Maps and enable sync, for example. So it's one location to go for the management of all your offline settings. I can send this out a little later, just it's a slide with a lot of resources and product material, a lot of links. So I will show you this later, but just note that there are a lot of resources out there now for you to start exploring field maps. There are ArcGIS Learn lessons. We have a YouTube playlist, a product page, blog articles. We've really been pushing a lot of information to the web about field maps to help you get started. Oh, and also one I do want to point out is the migration guide. Very helpful if you're wanting to start to move your workflow from Collector to Field Maps. We have that migration guide available for you. So one thing I do want to make note of, we have all these other focused apps and they're not going anywhere. So I've heard a lot of rumors going around, and you'll have to excuse, my dog is barking, but I'm just going to keep going. I've heard a lot of rumors like, oh, I heard Survey 123 is going away. That's not true. Survey 123, Quick Capture, Mission Responder, Indoors, and ArcGIS Earth are all staying. They're all completely separate from Field Maps, and we're going to continue to support them and invest in the capabilities they're in. So totally separate from Field Maps, and they're going to be supported for the foreseeable future. And then I'll just end on this roadmap for what we have planned for near-term, mid-term, and long-term as far as Field Maps capabilities that we want to integrate. Take things really in mid-term and long-term, especially with a grain of salt. These are things that we would love to do within the next few releases, but we don't always get to everything, or other things come up and take precedent. But near-term is a pretty reliable source of what to expect in the next couple of releases. And I'm going to leave that up for just a second while I start to configure my demo. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing here. And I'm going to start sharing from my phone. Awesome. So I am going to pull up my Field Maps mobile app. And then I'll just do something on the computer real quick. Okay, so everyone should be seeing my screen. I'm going to pull up this water distribution system map and head on over to my bookmarks. And I'm just going to zoom out to my default map extent. So if this is the first time you're seeing field maps, it probably looks pretty similar to Collector. That's because it is. So here we are, we're viewing and understanding specific details. This is a utility example. So we're going to pretend that we're looking at our utilities assets. And I can do everything that I did in Explorer, but now in field maps, I can zoom in on different areas of the map. I can select assets and look at their attributes. So let's say I want to look at this valve that's at the end of the street. I can see all the attributes about the valve. I can see I have this related valve maintenance table. If I click on that link, I don't have any information about it, but maybe one of these other valves does have information in that table. No, but anyways, there is a related table that you can view that asset inspection information. So if I want to start collecting features, I can do that. You can see my location is that blue dot in the map. And to start collecting, all I have to do is press the blue plus button in the lower right-hand corner. And then I choose from my feature template which type of feature I'd like to collect. So for this example, I'm going to collect a system valve. And you can see it drops one right on top of my location. And then I'm just going to say update point. And there you have it. So with 2 taps, and using my feature template, I have this system valve, and it already has some default information because that's how it was configured back in the office. So if I want to continue to edit the attributes for this point that I've just collected, for example, I want to set the valve type because I have these domains included in my feature. I can say collect a gate valve and submit it. That's pretty quick. So now I'm also going to want to collect a main because I want to connect this valve to the rest of my system. So I'm going to scroll down my feature templates and select main. So the first point's already been added on my location. And then as I move along, I'm going to have a hard time describing this to you, but maybe you can see it. It is snapping to all of the different features that I have available. And I get a little vibration in the phone when it's snapped to a feature. So it kind of automatically just snaps to other features that I want to connect to. I can say add point. And then I'm going to just swipe up on the attributes here. So with smart forms, we can see that I'm only being shown the fields that need to be completed for this feature based on my inputs. So all I really need to see are the main type and its life cycle status. So for main type, I'm going to select distribution main. And you can see after I've done that, some distribution main details pop up. It's a conditional form. And I think I'm just going to keep all of those the same. And so now maybe I'm just going to go back to this valve that I was looking at before, and maybe I need to make some edits to it. We're doing a little construction, very easy to do. I just press edit. And let's say I want to change this, the present status from open to closed. And submit that. Okay, now we'll just show you a little bit about the markup capability. So to get to the markup, all you have to do is press the ellipses up here and click markup. And now I can add points, add polygons, any kind of stuff I want. So say I want to call something out in this region up here. I just draw a little circle with my finger. I can add a label and I can also add notes. So let's say I just want to say, done. And now someone taps on that, they can see the note. A little bit about GPS accuracy. If you want to take a look at that, it's up here in this bar. And here's what I was talking about earlier about turning on and off location tracking. It's really just as simple as hitting this toggle button. And you can see I get the option if I want to set a duration, maybe I plan to be out in the field for 8 hours max, I can set that. I can also just have my location tracked until I decide to switch it off. It's up to you. Okay, and then do I have anything else to show you? That's pretty much it for now. I think we're running a little low on time. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing this. Okay. So that's all I have for you all today. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share a little bit about field maps with you. I know we definitely didn't cover everything and you probably have questions. We do have a couple minutes if anyone has any burning questions, and alternatively, you can contact me via email anytime, sbaker@esri.com. I'll put that in the chat. But does anybody have any burning questions?
Well, thank you so much for the presentation. I really enjoyed it. I've been trying to pursue the field maps for quite a while now, and I did have some questions. So you did answer many of them. Well, first thing, do you mind sending the presentation so I can send that out to the group?
Yeah, I'll make a note of that. I don't mind. I will share it as a PDF because it's kind of big, but that'll give you all the links and stuff.
Yeah, because I saw there were a couple of links there that might be of use. So the second question I had is, so you said there is a parallel field map application for the GIS analyst, not for the field crews, right? How would we access that? Is there a link or?
Yeah, good question. So if you're doing it through ArcGIS Online, I'll just try to pull this up now. But if you're doing it through ArcGIS Online, you launch it the same way that you do any other app through the app launcher. So say it's the same way that you launch dashboards, for example. And then it's the same way in your enterprise portal too, as long as you have that updated and integrated.
Gotcha.
So it's like the little 9-dot waffle icon.
Right. Okay. The final question I had is, we have 10.7 in Vallejo, and we're happily using it. There has been no need to update it to 10.8. Last month, I tried going to the field map, and then I realized probably 10.7 is not compatible. Is that the case? Do we need to upgrade our enterprise just to use field maps?
No. So I believe for 10.6.1 and above, there is a patch that you can install, and I'll send you more information on that. So it's like automatically available with 10.8.1 and above, but if you have 10.6.1 and above, you should still be able to use field maps, just with a little extra effort. I'll make a note to send you that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we have a couple more minutes if there are any more questions here.
Hey, Stephanie, I was wondering, is there a tool to migrate data that's currently in Survey 123 into field maps?
No, we don't have a migration tool. As I mentioned, those two apps are going to stay separate. So any field workflows that you have that are, for Survey 123, those can stay in Survey 123. If you had a specific need, like you don't want to use Survey 123 anymore, you want to move that workflow to field maps, I'd be happy to talk to you about how to do that offline at the meeting. But really, like Survey 123, it's really a form-centric workflow. You can use maps in there, but it's not a big part of it, whereas field maps is really very map-centric for those map-centric workflows. Okay. So that's kind of the difference there in a nutshell.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions for Stephanie? Okay, so it looks like there are none. But again, thank you so much from the whole group. We hope to see you more often on the group. And
yeah, I have it in my calendar now, so I'm excited to come to future meetings and just be a participant too. But happy to present on any topics y'all come up with that you'd like to hear more about too. Appreciate you having me today.
Sure. And thank you everyone for attending the meeting. We'll meet again next month, the third Wednesday, and looking forward to see you there. Thank you once again. Bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Esri.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.